Why subscribe to this channel? Because you'll learn something in each and every video. Maybe a couple things. You'll be the smartest guy in the room. There's an all-new, all-electric BMW crossover coming, the iX3, but if you, like me, live in the US, don't get too excited. It won't be sold here. But there is an electrified X3 available from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. It wears the xDrive30e badge. In addition to the charge port, there's another for dinosaur juice. In other words, the 30e is a plug-in hybrid, and the EPA rates its all-electric range at 18 miles. Yep, 18. If you're thinking about electrifying your transportation, there are some real advantages to a plug-in hybrid. If you often go on long road trips, you don't have to worry about charging at all. You just simply switch your fuel source to gasoline. And yeah, 18 miles of all-electric range isn't all that impressive, but even if you only manage 15 miles a day, annually, that's 5,400 miles that you're not going to a gas station for. Kind of a convenience. Also, the plug-in X3 can be much less expensive. The all-wheel drive gas-only X330i starts at $45,000. The 30e begins at $49,500, but a $5,836 federal tax credit quickly drops it to $43,700, $1,300 less than the standard X3, and that's before any state incentives. Loaded to the gills with over $13,000 worth of options, the MSRP on my tester just crests $64,000 before tax breaks. The hybrid powertrain starts with a 2-liter twin-scroll turbocharged 4-cylinder engine that by itself makes 180 horsepower. The 107-horse electric motor is integrated into an 8-speed transmission. This hybrid does not use a continuously variable unit. All-wheel drive is standard. A physical drive shaft runs to the back axle. FYI, the pure electric iX3 is rear drive, for now at least. Generally, this is the whir heard on startup. Total system power is 288 horsepower and 310 pound-feet of torque. There's the expected BMW joystick that I'm lukewarm on. Remember, manual control is not simulated. There are honest-to-goodness cog swaps happening here. The 12 kilowatt-hour lithium-ion battery is tucked under the back seat. The fuel tank is relocated, straddling the rear axle. And yes, it does reduce cargo space. The 30e will fully charge in about 6 hours on standard 110 current. Using 220 level 2, it takes 3 hours. Another advantage to plug-in hybrids, you don't really need to install expensive level 2 charging. I use standard 110 current to charge mine, and if you can't charge or simply forget, you've always got the gas engine to back you up. The gauge cluster is a bit different from gas-only X3s because of the hybrid information. There are the standard drive modes, plus Max eDrive, which is a pure EV setting, battery control that keeps the charge level from falling below an owner-selected range, and auto mode that switches seamlessly between gas and electric. In slower and in regular driving, it emphasizes battery driving as much as possible. Because you can force this into pure EV mode, you can skulk around the neighborhood very quietly if you want. This Max eDrive setting works at speeds of up to 83 miles an hour. I'm taking it much easier here. Keep in mind, this might make you appear a bit creepy, but you know your neighbors better than I do. Now, this is a pretty quick vehicle. BMW claims a 0 to 60 time of 5.9 seconds, and because electric motors have instant torque off the line, it actually feels quicker than that. That would be in sport mode. Consider that the hybrid X3 weighs nearly 4,600 pounds. About the battery control setting, it's useful in cities setting up EV-only zones, which is happening in Europe. This means electric power is more likely to be available to avoid fines. Using GPS and geofencing, this X3 could automatically switch over when it enters one of these E-zone areas. Let's talk about the characteristics of the hybrid system. The pedal feel, the transition from regenerative braking that sends power back to the battery, and the actual physical disc brakes is pretty smooth here. And when accelerating and you're trying to find the handoff between the electric motor and the 4-cylinder engine, you really do have to pay attention. In short, there's nothing distracting, everything feels natural. Regenerative braking isn't overly aggressive. Yes, the hybrid dynamics are noticeable when paying attention, but this X3 feels much like a gas-only vehicle. Set a destination in the Navi system, and the 30e uses GPS data in an anticipatory mode to maximize efficiency. For example, it'll use up more battery power traveling uphill when it knows a resulting downgrade can recharge the pack. Is this comfortable? Yes. Quiet? Of course. This is an expensive vehicle. You'd expect that. As for all-electric range, my experience is better than the EPA's. In city-only motoring, I saw 23 miles of battery power. On the highway, it fell to 21. This is with temperatures in the mid-50s. With those numbers, the 30e will cover over 7,600 miles annually if charged every night, and no range anxiety on long trips. All right, here we come to the cul-de-sac test. Let's see how it does. And, completely aces that. In my week with the 30e, I used around 3 gallons of gas, driving some 200 miles. Electricity is less expensive than gasoline, and regenerative braking will save wear and tear on the brakes, so the overall cost of ownership should be less. Maybe more important, it's easy to like this vehicle. BMW, the ultimate driving machine. Does this handle like a 3 Series sedan? No, it's a crossover. It has a higher center of gravity, but toss it hard into a corner and it's no slouch. This is fun to drive. It's composed and engaging in all situations. Now, I didn't go off-roading, but I've tackled rough Forest Service roads with a standard X3 and it never broke a sweat. No one's taking this on tough Moab terrain. The drive modes really do make a difference. That's not always the case. In sport mode, the steering weight is nice and hefty. It's just the way I like it. That might be due in part to the $1,400 dynamic handling package, which adds torque vectoring and improved brakes. Every time I drive a BMW, I notice that the transmission is perfectly calibrated. This is no different. Rinse, slather, repeat. Automatic emergency braking is standard. This X3 is equipped with a $1,700 Driving Assistance Plus package with advanced adaptive cruise control with traffic jam assist and front cross traffic alert. These active electronic safety features are pretty well done. I will say though, the lane keep assist on the highway is not fully locked down in the lane. It does bob around a little bit. Other than the slightly different gauge cluster graphics, inside, the 30e looks like any other X3. It's quintessential BMW. This company has its own approach to cabin design, and all of the materials and switchgear have a solid, purposeful look and feel. Touches like this metallic panel, only seen when the door is open, give the impression that the designers won the battle with the bean counters. Good to see that happen. Creature comforts at this price include a toasty steering wheel, a very nice view of the sky, and supportive heated leather seats with noticeably soft cowhide. They should take care of all but the largest of drivers. The sound system is good. Audiophiles will want to cough up the extra $850 for the upgraded Harman Kardon system. Nothing exotic when it comes to storage spaces in the cockpit. There is wireless phone charging. Door pockets are big. The center console is on the smaller side. It's all pretty much standard BMW fare. And the same goes for the user interface. iDrive should work for anyone. For starters, there's the classic knob and surrounding buttons, even handwriting recognition that's done on top of the jog wheel. Decent voice commands too. Hand gesture controls are optional. The screen is touch sensitive for those who prefer that. Apple Carplay is wireless, and if you haven't heard, BMW has ditched the annual fee. Android Auto is being added to vehicles using operating system 7.0 or later. I'm 5'9", so is my evil twin, who happens to be the better looking of us two. And I set the front seat up for a comfortable and safe driving position. He tells me what the back seat is like. How's the battery affect things back there? I don't know. Seems like a regular X3 to me. There's a good amount of space back here, starting with headroom. That's generous enough. Can't complain about leg, knee, and foot room. Door openings are big enough so that car seats go in and out okay, and the cushions are high enough so that thigh support is good. Door pockets, those are quite large. Nice. I can charge up my electronics. There's available Wi-Fi so the kids can homeschool in the car. And there's a climate zone. Heated seats are an option, welcome in the northern states. I don't have to complain about missing seat pockets. The center spine is moderately sized. 2 adults will be good to go in this space without any problems. 3 that are our size will be okay in short excursions across town. I will say, though, the seats don't have much contouring to them at all. So you finally admitted that I'm the better looking of the two. Not really, but saying that makes you easier to work with. Oh, forgot to mention, hybrids don't always tow well. The 30e is rated to tug 4,400 pounds. I'll let you in on a little secret. The TP trunk test, kind of the bane of my existence. It takes at least a couple hours to do. I have to drive down to Costco, go in, get the TP, bring it out, and then talk to all these people about what I am doing because it looks really weird. Size up the trunk, shoot it. There's so much to do. Even though my house is up 2 flights of stairs on a hill here, it's much easier for me to bring all my gear and suitcase and stuff down. Okay, that lump reduces cargo space to about 16 cubic feet. That's compared to nearly 29 for the standard X3. There's room in here for the supplied travel charge cord, and something that doesn't always happen, the security shade doesn't have to be left in the garage. There's room for it in here. No spare tire, but you should know by now BMW is big into run flats. Little extras make life easier, so do remote releases. The result is a very usable space, even if the load floor height is raised up a bit, and 40-20-40 split seats for the win. Those add a lot of loading flexibility. The question is, with all of the seats filled, will everyone get to take a suitcase? One of these is pretty big, and yet they all fit pretty easily. There's room for a couple small duffels too, and it's not just a kick-to-open tailgate, it works when closing up too. When it comes to design, at first glance, the 30e looks about the same as the gas-only 30i, only the badges give it away, very stealthy. X3 is certainly handsome enough, and the twin kidneys are reasonably sized. Looking at you, 2021 4 Series Coupe. Direct plug-in hybrid competitors for the 30e are Audi Q5, Lincoln Corsair, Mercedes GLC, and Volvo XC60. Otherwise, you're looking at gas-only crossovers like Alfa Romeo Stelvio, Cadillac XT5, Infiniti QX50, Land Rover Evoque, and Lincoln Nautilus. Porsche Macan and Cayenne straddle the size of the X3. Lexus NX and RX can be had with standard hybrid powertrains. For full electric, there's Tesla Model Y. Time for red light, green light, my new wrap-up. Green light? The X3 xDrive30e is less expensive and more efficient than the standard gas-only 30i model. Like all X3s, it's fun to drive, and there's a convenience to plug-in hybrids, far fewer trips to the gas station, and the possibility of less maintenance. Yellow light. Wish the all-electric range was higher. I saw about 22 miles on a charge. The average American drives around 30 miles a day. Passenger space is the same, but the cargo room is less and its load floor is higher. Red light. Like most BMWs, no spare tire. I speak from experience. Sidewall damage is problematic in urban areas, a real headache far from the city. And there's the usual BMW price spiral, adding things that are standard on less expensive cars like a suite of active electronic safety features is frustrating. At least Carplay is free now. While the charging infrastructure for pure electric cars is getting better by the day, there's a long way to go. For people gun-shy about EVs, plug-in hybrids are the perfect way to get acclimated to the electrified automobile. And let's face it, the iX3 isn't coming to America. The BMW X3 xDrive30e might have an awkward name and less electric range than many will want, but darned if it isn't practical, fun to drive, and efficient. The X3 is the most popular vehicle that BMW sells in the US by a wide margin. The 30e should make it more so. In case you didn't know, the X3 is built in the Spartanburg, South Carolina plant along with X4, X5, X6, and X7. Those are exported all over the world. The factory recently turned out its 5 millionth vehicle, an X5M. 5 million of anything? That's impressive. I've heard something along the lines that half the vehicles that BMW sells in the US are made here. The iX3 is being built exclusively in China, and one reason we're not getting it in the States is that its European WLTP range rating is 273 miles, and those figures tend to be wildly optimistic. This 30e's all-electric range is measured at 34 miles in Europe, 18 by the EPA. See where I'm going here? You're still here? If you haven't subscribed already, I highly recommend it so you don't miss any more of these videos, and click the notifications bell. I put a lot of work into these. I think it shows, and by doing that, it really helps the YouTube algorithm. Also, I'm on Twitter, so you can follow me there. And before I go, a special thanks to all of you, because I've had other auto writers tell me that they've looked at the comments and they're amazed at not only how civil they are, but informative they are. I'm kind of proud that I've built a good community here. Usually the comments on YouTube are kind of a cesspool. Not here. You guys rock. Thanks for being great. That's Driven. I'm Tom Voelk.